My name is Chris Augustine, AEM Learning Consultant. The purpose of this demonstration is to provide an overview of CQ and the website Console Manager. You can also check out additional information on the CMS Online Help Guide. Quick note before we start, this demonstration will be conducted in the training server. I am an admin there, so there may be some functionality that appears within this demonstration that you may not have access to. So when you first log into CQ, you may be presented with this UI. CQ offers two UIs. One is the touch optimized UI, which we're seeing here. And this is designed for development, those who want to develop on tablets and mobile devices. And then we have the classic UI. So what we're going to do in this demonstration is go through the classic UI. So I'll show you how to switch to that. What I have to do is mouse over any of these consoles here and you'll see that monitor icon. Just click on that and that switches to the classic UI. And this essentially is the home page of the classic UI. So on the right you can see some functionality here and there's a brief description about what each one of these does. For this demonstration we're going to take a look at the website console. And really there might just be two or three consoles that you access on a regular basis. So if it be websites, digital asset managers where we manage assets, and perhaps your inbox for looking at some workflows. On our particular install of CQ, not all of this may be applicable, but it is still available within the UI. So we're going to click on the website's link and take a look at the WCM. So here is the website content manager, or as we refer to it, WCM. And this is where you can create, edit, and manage web pages for publication. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go through and talk through the different fields that we have here and some of the functionality just real quickly. So we'll start from the top. Here on this rubrics, this is just how you get back to the main page that we just came from. So you can click on that and go back home. And then here is a shortcut to any of the consoles that we just saw on that home page. So you don't have to go back home to get to them. You can just navigate directly to them via these console icons. So for instance, this camera will take you to the DAM. This folder will take you to the inbox. And there are a couple others on here that you may not access all the time. On the far right side, you can actually log out of CQ via that functionality there. So there are two really main panes here. This is the page tree on the left-hand side, and then we have the list view here on the right. If after watching this demonstration you want to access some information about what all these commands do, you can always go to the CMS Online Help Guide, and there's detailed information about what's being covered today. So let's go through and take a look at this. On the left-hand side, we do have the page tree. So the way you access this is you can click on the plus sign next to any of these listings here, on any of these site listings, and that will reveal any child pages underneath. And so for here, example, we've got the QuickBooks site in English, and then here are all the geos underneath that. And as we click on the plus icon, again, it reveals any of the child pages underneath. You may notice that this side here is not being updated. It's because we haven't really specifically clicked on a parent page or parent node. When you click on that parent node, that populates this list view over here. So we're going to do that real quick. And you can see here is all the pages underneath. Here are all the pages underneath in this list view. This search command up here is rarely used, so we won't go through in any great detail and talk about it. But this refresh command can be used, and it just refreshes the page tree. This refresh and this refresh here act in isolation, as this one updates the page tree, this one updates the list view. So these parent nodes can be just container pages that hold pages, and then on some instances they can just be pages themselves that are actual content. Go through and take a look at some of this. Something else to call out in the page tree is you actually have the asset folder structure from the DAM. So you can have access to assets. There are a couple of things that you can do to assets within the WCM. So if we were to click down here and look at some of the assets that are in these folders and see what you can do. For instance, here on this one, we'll just open this up. What it's going to show you is the title and the description that goes with this asset. You can adjust that here if you like. You can add tags to that asset, and you can see these have been done here. There's also another functionality that may be of value. If you click on the edit icon, that pulls up the image editor and allows you to crop this image if that's necessary. So there you can see it's actually fairly tightly cropped. It is a free crop, and I know the system can be set up to crop in ratio and to do additional things. Currently it is not set up to do that, so it is a free crop, and that might be valuable to you. You can also rotate an icon, rotate an asset if that's necessary, and you can zoom in if you need a little bit more finer detail to work with. I'm going to cancel out of that. But that's just something to know. These two are important because these are searchable. The title and the description of an asset are searchable within the DAM and within the WCM. So you could either adjust those here, or if you happen to find one that didn't have a title or description, you could add that here. And there is guidance about naming assets, again, available within the CMS Online Help Guide. And that'll give you some guidance on how you would name an asset if that's something you want to do. So there is that functionality. We're going to go back to our QuickBooks site. So before we go through and talk about some of this functionality up here, just wanted to call out that because the QuickBooks site has so many pages within it, this could be a little confusing if you looked at this and thought, well, I can't find the page I'm looking for. This functionality down here shows you that there are 6 pages within this QuickBooks site within this list view, and you can just navigate through those pretty standard navigation conventions: next page, back, last page, refresh. So that's just something sometimes that trips people up. Another thing is we're into page 174 here, and it seems to be sorted in kind of an odd way. So we'll go through and just kind of resort that page so that you've got a pretty standard view right now. So now let's go through and talk about this functionality up here. So as I mentioned before, on this command bar, we've got a refresh. That'll just refresh this page list. The new functionality, if you click on the right-hand side, this is where you create a new page. Some of this other functionality really just isn't used that often. So there's a couple of different ways to access creating a new page. You can click, get the drop-down new page, or just click on new, and that pulls up the Create Page dialog. There are 3 things to do in this dialog. One is to create the title, and that's what appears at the top of the web page. The other one is to add the name, and that's really what appears in the URL. And additionally, what you need to know is this field cannot contain any spaces and must be all lowercase. So underscore is kind of the convention to link words together in the name field. And then this is where you'll choose your template as well. So again, I'm in the training environment, and there are a lot of templates in here. Some have some guidance around them, some of them don't. You'll probably see something considerably different. But you would go through, add a title, add a name, pick your template, and then click Create, and that's how you create a page. And that functionality is accessible up here. So you can also notice that the template name is available within this UI. So if you create one, you can see that there. So we've talked through new. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these other commands here. The delete, move, activate, and deactivate commands, those should never be initiated from this command at all, from up here in the command bar. You need to access those via a workflow. There's a couple of different ways to access that. The workflow dialog, if you highlight a page, you can right click and you've got workflow. You've got workflow here. And as you can see, when you pull those down, activate a page, delete a page, move, activation, restore version, those are all activated via a workflow and require the input of an approver. So you have to access those through the workflow. Also within the Sidekick, which we're not going to talk about during this demonstration, you can activate workflows through that. The other 2 commands that are here, we've got a copy and a paste command. So if you click on copy, what that'll do is copy a version of that page into memory, and then you can paste it either into your folder or paste it back into this folder where it's at. If you paste it into this folder, CQ is going to want to append a 1 to the end of the file name because it does not want duplicate file names. So that's really handy if you see a design that you would really like to work with, you can copy the design into your folder and then make some amendments to it. And that really leads to some design efficiencies, so you don't have to build a page from the ground up. The other command up here in the toolbar is this tools command. And again, you can use that for looking at references. That's handy. Some of this other stuff is not really used that much. So let's talk about this list view UI. Again, we've talked about the title and the name and the publish date. So there are a couple of icons that you really need to be aware of in here. And I think most of these are represented here. So and again, there's information about this on the CMS Online Help Guide. So if you go through this demonstration and you want to access that information, just go to the Help Guide and you'll be able to find production status queues. So the green icon indicates that the page's content is published. Yellow would indicate that it's pending. Down here we see a red icon, and that is that either publication has failed or the page has been deactivated. And then a blank icon just means that it has not been published. So over here in the modified column, you've got the blue icon, indicates that the page has been modified since the last publication date. And sure enough, you can see that here. It was published on July 16th, modified January 21st. So we've got status, and the status we'll talk about if a page is in a workflow, it'll give you some status here. This is indicating that these are locked. So they've been locked by the specific web authors. Impressions, that's just the number of impressions since the last published date, and then the template that's being used. And again, that's pretty handy if you know you want to do a responsive design and you see something you like and it is a responsive design page via a template that's responsive. You can copy that, and this is a good place to find out what kind of page template in this list view. A couple other things from a user perspective. These are all expandable and contractible. So if you were to place your cursor between these two columns, you can see you can move them back and forth and give yourself a little bit more real estate on one column if you like. These are all sortable. So if we wanted to sort ascending, descending, that's true of all these columns. And if you want to add additional functionality, you can see like here, locked by would be something that we could add here, and it'll show you who locked that particular page. But anyway, you can add these and delete these and mix and match them as you see fit. Something else that you can do is just rearrange them if you like. Just grab one, and you can see, drag it between two other ones, and it'll push it right there. So you can pretty much set up your work area the way you like it. Another small thing, it's actually pretty good for managing screen real estate, is this tiny icon that CQ has put in here, and that'll actually collapse that left panel. And it's openable again just via that really tiny collapse arrow. And that's also true in the editing interface, where real estate is at a premium. So, and the last thing to call out is this help button way over here on the right hand side. Often gets lost, but that is a direct link to the CMS Online Help Guide. And again, that guide has lots of information for using functionality within CMS, for Digital Asset Manager, for websites, for components, quite a bit of different information. So that concludes this demonstration.